Hey everyone, it's late July. I'm spending a weekend out in North Dakota doing some scouting ahead of the archery opener there at the beginning of September. And I thought I'd just show you this. So this is the area where I shot my 2022 buck from. And this is the tip of an oxbow on a little, it's just a little river system, very small river. But I had scouted it last year and identified in August a really awesome, just textbook buck bedding area. So I thought I'd show it to you here. So I'll turn the camera around and show you what we're working with. So you got the river coming right here, and there's a nice little oxbow that comes out. And last year I came in here and identified the bed. I'll show you where it was, and this is where I'm assuming the buck that I ended up shooting was bedded that day. But we came in here today and there's another bed right here, kind of on the outskirts or outside of all this thick cover right here. I'm assuming it's probably a couple bucks bedded in here because this was a pretty big bed right in this area right here. So he's got a little bit of back cover here, but the primary bed is right over here. And last year that buck I shot was with another buck, about a younger buck that I'm sure was 3.5 years old. He was a nice deer. But this is what I found last year and prompted me to set up where I set up about, I don't know how far, not 70 yards or something like that over toward the edge of the field more when it was a corn year. But this is just a textbook buck bedroom. Came back in here and you can see it's just worn to the mud again. Gus, come on. So another one has moved in and taken over, and that's what I see them do, all the time, is when you have like a bedroom like this, where you have horizontal cover, deadfall right there, plus the vertical cover. If you see that, especially on the tips of these oxbows like this in river systems, this is just dynamite. So I haven't seen a lot of brow sign on the edge of the beans. It's beans this year, but this is obviously a good sign. It looks like there's another buck using this right now. So, all right, I'm on a different property on a different river system here in North Dakota, and I was just wanted to show you how something has worked out that I did a couple of years ago. So this is one of the best bedding areas on the property, is back this direction along the river. I've written about that a couple times and shown maps and stuff of how there's just really nice habitat diversity, and there was some deadfall, things like that, really tall ragweed, thick cover, that bucks and does like to bed in. So a few years ago, I shot a buck just off this bedding area, and I wanted to come in the next year because I ended up getting that deer, but it wasn't like the perfect setup because deer were moving a little bit too up high here. So that tree right there is what I hunt out of. I come in with a kayak up the river and just bank it and climb up the bank and get in the tree so I don't have to cross land and kick deer out of the fields that are feeding overnight up in here during that kind of late October, early November time period. So I came in here, not last summer, but the summer before, and the trail system used to be up here, coming out of here, and it came up high, and they would move right through here. So with all the deadfall that comes in here during the floods, all I did was I wanted to create a system where they weren't going to be so close to me because they were just a little too close in that tree. And so I came in and gathered all this deadfall and just placed it right here between this tree and this tree to just block this trail system right here, hoping. And in the process, I was taking deadfall from here and opened it up just not far, like 10 yards maybe further, to create what I was hoping they would adjust and create a new trail moving right through here. And that's what they've done. They've come in here. I just thought it was cool to come back here 2 years later and see how they've adjusted exactly kind of how you were hoping. So Gus is on the trail here, and yeah, this is the new beaten down path. They move through here and just keep going through this direction. It's kind of hard to see right now because the nettle is so grown up. But when I would like get down and look, and there's really nice track and stuff leading right through here. So this is definitely an area where I'm probably going to throw another sit at if I can get a kind of a west-based wind in early November again. So yeah, if you get those situations where come in and adjust things like that, it's a tool that you can use to just kind of shift deer movement one way or another to benefit you in the stand. So this would be perfect because I'd get behind a tree here. I'd be able to use trees to draw and stop them and get a nice, just slightly quartering away shot from that location. This is another really good bedding area here, and kind of how it consistently sets up on these river areas in North Dakota. You get these little low areas, and you just, anywhere you get this open canopy, you got tree cover there, tree cover back here, and then there's just wide open swath of cover, and so you get really nice lush vegetation that grows up. So nice grassland here mixed with willows up over and there on the edge. Ragweed starts as you get really close to the river, and it's just really good bedding. And so my buddy Sam and I were coming in. I came in from the field up here and noticed that there was a little trail. So you've got, I know for a fact from prior years that, does, bucks too and stuff. I've seen young bucks get up out of the middle of this stuff, and we walked through, and we were coming up here and noticed this little faint trail through the thick cover. And again, just a classic mature buck situation. They'll burrow themselves under this cover. And so we just kind of followed the trail up here, looked through, and you've just got this big worn down bed in here. And you get under here and it's, 10, 12 degree temperature difference. It's just so nice and cool under here for them. And then you've got really nice trail leading out this direction. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to walk this trail back this direction. I actually have a tree prepped about 15 yards from here from a few years ago. But I'm going to walk back further into the woods on this exit trail and see if I can find a spot to kind of set up off this bedding. So all right, so we followed the trail back here, and sometimes it's not always defined where you can actually see very well how the trail maneuvers out of bedding like this. But this actually, it seems like you can pretty good. It ducks down here, and I'm seeing mostly the actual track. It's kind of hard to do this and see sometimes at this time of year, but it veers up. A trail does go this direction, and it also comes right here. There, you can see it pretty nicely under this trunk and through here. And this is so nice in here because it just funnels movement down on this little dry riverbed where it's clear. And up there, up top, you just got a bunch of deadfall. So we followed it back, and we're about 65 yards through here from that bed. And we went back and looked, and Sam up there was standing waving his arms to see if I could see him from the bed. And so that's the tree that we're going to sneak into. And it's nice because there's a little low ground ravine, like just a little low area that I'll be able to slip in for an evening sit. Right back in here, this little low area right here comes right out. Park back there and just walk the edge and come up the low area, get on this back side, and use the tree here as a shield to just get slowly up into the tree in a saddle. And you'll be within 70 yards of that bed. So this is a really, really good looking setup. So excited about this one. Hey everyone, we're out here, second day of scouting in North Dakota, and I just wanted to show something here where we've done kind of speed tours along the edge of transition along crop fields. But what we found this year is that the crop is a little different than it normally has been. Wheat prices were pretty good. Talked to one of the farmers last year The wheat prices were pretty good, and so there's a lot more wheat planted out here this year than I've really ever seen. So not as much corn and soybeans as I'm used to. And what we're finding is that when we're doing these scouting speed scouts along the edge of crop fields and things like that, even on the beans right now, is we're not seeing a ton of browse. And so what we've done is when we dived into the trees is we're finding some areas of really good browse, which is a really good indication that, you know, so that's kind of where we're finding that sign that are indicating where there's good general deer use right now. So I'll kind of turn the camera around here and show you what this area looks like. So you can see how we got down, we're coming through a dry riverbed here to get to the back of a huge oxbow, where I've had hunts in here in the past where there's been, I mean, I've seen upwards of like 30 deer here on sits before, and I know there's just a ton of deer in here. It's covered in awesome habitat. There's a ton of stinging nettles in here that the deer are browsing on. But at the back of the oxbow, you have thick ragweed, and you also have like cockleburs everywhere. So it's just, the cockleburs are the type of cover that are just keeping things out. Like, it is a mess getting in here a lot of times. And this oxbow just is huge, and it holds a ton of deer. And you can see we got into this low ground area, and there's just a lot of the tips are bitten off here. And you can even see, if you look around here, how it's nice and low right here. You can see where the browsing is happening in the slow ground, and how the stems are just higher as you get up higher on the terrain. So it's a good indication that, I mean, for early season coming in, this shows me that yes, there's a lot of deer using this right now, and there is beans across the road. So I'm guessing by the time early September rolls around, what they're going to be doing is bedding in the back of the oxbow, browsing their way, you know, towards the end of light, and then at night going across the driveway back there and feeding in the beans and stuff through the night. So it will be a good spot. I can come in up the river in my kayak and stuff, and even on a morning sit, this is an area where I feel good about, because they do have to travel a little bit to come from the beans and get back into bedding. So I like those areas for morning sets early season, where I know they have to travel a little bit to get back there. So that's kind of one of my goals from today, is to really fine tune a spot where I can come in with a kayak too in the morning and slip in off the bank and get into an area where I think they're going to be coming back to bedding. All right, we followed a trail, we're getting really close to the tip of this oxbow, and the river's right here, and we're coming up and came upon just a huge worn scrape from last year. Fantastic licking branch right here. A sturdy branch like this back in the tip of this oxbow around good security cover. This gives me pretty good confidence that it's going to be hit again pretty hard this year. So, I mean, you can see how wide this is. So that's the thing about scouting this time of year. Like, we're coming out here hoping that we can find something good for early season setups, but really you're doing this. I come out here and scout this time of year because I know that I'm trying to prepare myself for opening weekend. But if I don't, I'm finding places like this that I now have in my back pocket. So I've prepped that tree, be able to come in from the river, come in off the tip of the oxbow, get in here on a south-based wind, blowing back this direction. In late October, mid-October, even into that early first week in November. I know that I can, by being out here this time of year and finding things like this, I can build spots up so that if I don't get something on opening weekend, I feel really good, because I did this scouting trip, about being able to come back in here and shoot a deer every year. I've been lucky enough to shoot a buck every year I've hunted out here, and a huge part of that is because of coming out and doing these scouting trips late in the summer.